Thank you for joining Darien Library this Thursday evening for Get Fit with Jake Hagedus. Jake Hagedus has always been interested in how he could help other people. Jake pursued his personal trainer certification from the American Council on Exercise in December of 2018. While studying for the PT exam, he started working at a small athletic facility in Bridgeport, then moved to training full-time at the Edge Fitness Clubs. Since then, he has moved away from the corporate gym world. She's very impressed, and trains privately. Before we begin, I would like to mention that programs at Darien Library are made possible by the annual Friends of the Library campaign. We thank you for your support to make programs like this, as well as our collections, available to the community. If you have any questions this evening during the program, feel free to use our Q&A or the chat, and we'll answer questions throughout the program. I hope everyone is ready to learn more about fitness with Jake. Take it away.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you again. I'm just going to echo what Amanda said about joining us tonight. I feel very fortunate to have this opportunity to share my brain with you all. So let's get started. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. We have a lovely slideshow that we are all going to take part in. All right, so we're here. It's the 14th, right, of January. So this is when things start to wane, they start to waver with our resolutions, right? You've been going at it for 2 weeks, and you're like, why isn't anything changing? And we can get frustrated, and I understand that. I've been there. I've been there myself, and I've been there as people's coach, and you know, trying to help them navigate their own fitness journey as well as my own. So believe me, I've been there, done that. So when the going gets tough, how to make and keep your resolutions. So we're gonna jump right in. Where do I start? And that's you. That's right here. This is the rocket ship as you're taking off into fitness atmosphere. Where do I start? Oftentimes, the beginning of your fitness journey is the hardest part. Changing your routines, your habits, your activity level, your mental outlook, and your eating, it's asking a lot, and it is. And a lot of times when we want to make a change, we're like, I have to do all of this at once, right? I have to change the way I eat. I have to change, you know, every aspect of my life. I have to start working out, so my energy level is then going to be very different, and I'm eating different stuff that I normally eat, and I'm going to be tired all the time. And you still have to get on with your life, you know. So it's hard. Listen. Anyone doing this right now, I salute you. All right, I really do. But we're going to separate things into smaller, more manageable components. There is no reason everything has to change all at once, especially in the beginning. So we're going to talk about setting SMART goals. And fortunately, it's the acronym is actually the word, so that actually worked out. So SMART goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So the first thing we're going to talk about is making sure you have a clear, defined path to your goal, right? So you're not sort of like meandering along. You're like, well, maybe I'll do this, maybe I won't. It's specific. You want to be as focused as possible on hitting that goal. The next one is measurable. Have a plan for how you're going to record your progress. And the progress is important, because if you say, oh, I'm going to do this thing in X amount of time, say we want to lose 5 pounds, and you say, yeah, I want to lose some weight. Like, I want to lose some weight is one of, if not the most frustrating things to hear as a personal trainer, because I'm like, yes, like, believe me, so do I. How are we going to do that? And if you just come in and say, I want to do something, and you don't know how you're going to do it, it's not going to work out. Like, I guarantee you might make a little bit of progress, but you're gonna struggle. So we make sure that it's measurable to avoid that problem. And then attainable, right? Don't set out to do something that it's just not in the cards, right? Don't say, you know, I want to run 5 miles in 1 month when we're just spending a lot of time on the couch with the potato chips, right? We want to make sure that it's something that we are capable of doing. So, you know, so if you want to run 5 miles, maybe say, you know what, before I do that, I'm going to run 1 mile, right? We're gonna shorten it a little bit, just so we don't, because if we go too fast, too much, we're going to get disappointed, we're going to get hurt. It's going to be a bad scene. And then you want to be relevant, right? So that just means make it your goal, right? Don't make it someone else's goal that you saw on social media or that you heard that your friend was doing this thing, so now you want to do it too. You have to think, what do I want to change in my life? What's most important to me to change? And how is setting this goal going to get me closer to that change that I want to make? So always look at the big picture. And then last but not least, time base, right? Set a date, write it down. I'm serious, write it down. Get your pencil out right now, or your pen even, write in pen, the end date that this is going to happen. And here's the thing. If you don't do that, you're going to say, well, I don't know, I just want to lose some weight, or I just want to run 5 miles. And if you don't know when, you're going to have a really hard time making sure that that happens, because there's going to be there's no beginning and there's no end. There's just the middle, this like muck that we're wading through. So make sure you have a deadline. All right, moving right along. So here's a quote that I found that I like. Normally I don't like quotes, but for you guys, I'll like this one. It's a slow process, but quitting won't speed it up. It's true. You know, progress will come slow. Maybe in the beginning, certain things will come quickly, and then, you know, you're going to hit that wall and you're going to say, what is wrong? Why can I not go through this? And you're going to get really discouraged. And that's normal, right? It literally happens to everybody. You're going along and you're making good progress. It might be, you know, slower than you thought. It might even be faster than you thought. But either way, you're going to get to a point where you're not going to make the same progress that you were making previously. And that can get really discouraging. But instead of focusing on how that changed, focus on how far you've come and just adjust your course to where you want to be, right? Don't say, well, because, you know, I want to lose 10 pounds by March 1st. And, you know, I've only lost 3 pounds and it's already the middle of February. Adjust your timeline, right? You know, just change your goal. And I mean, that's a lot of weight. I'll be honest with you. That's a lot of weight. So just adjust your goal. And if you find that it's not working, step back, right? Step back and then make it attainable, make it relevant again. Because otherwise you're going to let that tiny little thing, you're going to let it derail the entire rest of your experience, your journey that you're going on. So just remember that. It's important. So this is just a sample, sort of an example of a SMART goal that we have. We're going to say, I want to squat, right, a 20-pound kettlebell for 3 sets of 15 reps by March 1st. It's all in there, specific. What do you need to do in order to achieve this, right? How am I gonna physically make this happen? What do I need to do? How do I need to plan out? Right now, maybe just a bodyweight squat can be challenging, right? Maybe a series of bodyweight squats is challenging. So how am I gonna increase my weight to a certain point where I can do this? Measurable. How are you going to measure your progress, right? Are you just going to say, well, I'm just going to try until I get tired? Or am I going to, again, plan out? Maybe I'm just going to start out by doing 1 set of 10 bodyweight squats. You know, maybe I'll do 3 of those over the course of a day, right? Maybe I'll squat off of a chair or something like that. And that's how I'm going to, you know, approach how I'm going to make that progress. Make it attainable. It's challenging, right? So maybe we can't do any squats right now. That's okay. Maybe not right now, but you will. So make it challenging. It's not impossible, right? There's few things that are impossible. And I would tell you, hopefully someone will tell you if it was truly impossible. You probably find that out anyway. But, you know, challenge yourself, push yourself enough, but not so much that you're like, there's no way I can possibly do this, right? And realistic. So we want to think about, how is this relevant to me, right? What do I want to do? I want to get healthier, right? I want to build stronger bones. I want to start weight training. We're going to improve our overall strength, especially in the core. And you can't see my legs, but they're down there, and our legs, right? That's like probably one of the 2 biggest things we want to work on, especially as time goes on and we get a little bit older, right? We start to lose our ability to move ourselves around. And I'm telling you, once you don't have that anymore, things get real hard. So we want to make sure we have a strong lower body and a strong core. And doing these squats, this goal that we have, everything's going to fall into place, right? and it's time-based. You have a deadline, March 1st. So right now, I'm not saying I don't want everyone to suddenly, you know, get up and start. I mean, that would be great. If you all started squatting, that would be really awesome. But you want to give yourself a deadline. And again, make it realistic. Don't say by next week, I'm going to start throwing all this weight around, because it's just not going to happen. And again, you're going to get discouraged, you're going to get disappointed, and you're going to want to quit. So setting unrealistic goals is not helping you. Like, maybe it looks good when you set it, but in the long run, not worth it. So this gentleman right here. This is Ray Williams. He squatted 966 pounds. That's that on the bar right there. In 2016, all right? And that's him with celebrating, because he set a SMART goal. But he probably set a lot of SMART goals, and so did the rest of his team. Now, I just want to make something clear. I don't want anyone to go out and throw a bunch of weight on a barbell and try to squat it, all right? This is for Ray Williams. He's a monster, right? He's a professional athlete. Few people can do this. This is an example of what happens when you set your goals, all right? Setting goals is one of the best tools you have in your arsenal, okay? Because you'll accomplish things that you didn't know you were capable of. You'll prove to yourself that not only could you do it, you ended up doing it, right? You did it, it's done. And after you accomplish one thing that you thought maybe was impossible, that you were like, well, I can't even do one squat. How am I gonna do 5 squats or 10 squats or a squat with a 20-pound kettlebell? So after you do that impossible thing, what's next, right? The sky's the limit. You're just gonna see these barriers get knocked down and knocked down and knocked down, just like Ray Williams when he did that 966-pound squat. But don't forget, relevant and attainable, right? So don't go crazy, loading up weight, getting hurt, all right? Setting your expectations too high is a recipe for disappointment at best and injury at worst, and we do not want to get injured. Next, we are going to talk about the 5 whys. So this is really the core of why you want to change, right? This is saying, you know, looking inside, sitting down, taking some time, maybe writing these answers down, maybe talking it out with someone, who knows, and figure out, why do I want to do this? So why do you want to lose weight, right? Could be any reason. And then we ask, why is it important to lose weight, right? Why does that goal matter to you? Why does losing weight matter to you? Why or how does your weight affect you in that you feel like you need to lose weight? You know, why is this? How is it affecting you? How do you see it in your daily life, right? And then why or how will losing weight result in a better life? Because eventually that's what we want, right? We want to improve our lives. We want to make these changes to better ourselves, okay? So we're going to go a little deeper. Just about everyone, right? All of us want to change something about ourselves, but until you figure out the real reason, the root cause, you're going to struggle. Honestly, you will, because you won't be making that decision for the right reasons. And it gets really hard when you're,
Jake,
again, you're just meandering through this, like, what's up?
Do you mind if I interrupt? I apologize.
Yeah, no,
Someone in the audience wants to know what a squat is. They're not really sure.
A squat. Well, I don't know if I can show you. So maybe I can go over here. Yeah, there we go. Can you see that? Can you see?
Yeah, I can. It's a little dark, but we can see it.
Okay, all right. So a squat is when you're in a standing position, right? And you just sit down, right? You can't really see my lower body, but that's a squat, right? And then getting back up again. So that is one of the most beautiful compound exercises your body can do, right? Pulling off a good solid squat, it's going to take you really far. The squat and the deadlift, in my opinion, 2 of the best things you can do for yourself. We'll talk about exercise specifically in a little bit, but I'm glad you asked that question, because sometimes I forget that not everyone knows what a squat is. So thank you for asking that question. I hope I answered your question. I know it's kind of dark and like scary over there, but yeah, that is a squat. All right, so again, you know, thinking about these things, about your whys, it might be unpleasant, right? You might not like, you know, the answers to those questions, and that's okay, because again, you're making a change to make yourself better, all right? You're making a positive change, and true introspection, right? Being able to look inside that's going to take you really far. I just smacked my microphone. That's going to take you really far in life, okay? Not just with fitness, just with everything else, all right? So here, for example, I want to run a mile, right? Here's this gentleman, he's about to run a mile. He looks like he's going to go really fast. So say someone were to say to me, I want to run a mile. And I would say, why? Why do you want to be able to run a mile? And they say, because it's good for me. And I'm like, well, of course it's good for you. And then I say, you know, why do you think it's good for you? Why is that important? And then they say, well, I don't do any exercise right now. So running a mile seems like, you know, it would be a good thing to do. And I say, but why, you know, why running a mile? Like, why don't you exercise right now? Why aren't we doing any physical activity right now? And you say, oh, well, I know I should be healthier. I know that I need to, you know, make some sort of change in my life that will improve my fitness. And so then, you know, that's when I say, well, you know, what exactly is there something that you noticed, something that changed where you felt like you were out of shape, like something jumped out at you? And then you say, well, I can tell when I'm out of shape because I try to keep up with, for example, my grandkids, and I can't. And that's a horrible, I imagine, I don't have any grandkids, but I imagine that's a horrible feeling, right? To think that you can do something as, you know, as great as that and then not be able to do it. So that's your why right there, because you want to be around long enough and you want to be fit enough to go run around with your grandkids. And that, like, reasons like that, those sorts of things, that's why we become personal trainers. Like, a lot of it is like, oh, well, you know, we like fitness and we like to be fit and you want to share it with other people. But when people come to you and they say, you know, I want to make this change, and we figure out why, and it's something like that, that's it. Like, that's everything right there. That's why I wanted to be a trainer, just to help people be able to do that. And sometimes, you know, the answer is very obvious, and other times you might have to do a little bit of digging, right? You might have to dig around in there, figure out, you know, what's working, what isn't, and then, you know, you find out new things about yourself, and that's good. That's a really good thing to do. It's no small matter to change your life for the better, but before you do, know thyself. All right, it's really important, because if you don't, you know, if you don't know what's going on in here, and in here in the heart, you can kind of see it. In my opinion, in fitness, those are two of your biggest, you know, organs that you're using, right? You know, we have all these things that we actually move and expand and contract and all that stuff. But if you don't know why you're doing it, you need to pause, and you need to just step back and be like, why am I doing this, and am I doing it for the right reason? All right. The sooner you figure out the real reason for why you want to change, because yeah, of course, we all want to lose a little bit of weight. We all want to be healthier. The sooner you can really commit to that change, because you know, you figured out why it's so important in your life, right? Why it's not just, you know, I want to lose 10 pounds because I want to look better. It's like, why do you want to look better? Because I don't like the way I look right now. That's also another one, but you know. All right, another thing, this is very important, is to find your accountability buddy. I don't know if I spelled that right. I kind of made it up. But that's just saying you're going to find someone that you know is going to hold you accountable to these changes that you're going to make. And that doesn't mean someone is going to do it all with you, right? That just means it's someone you can go to and just share your journey and your progress with them. And hopefully, you know, at best, they're going to stay on you, and they're going to motivate you to keep at it, right? To crush those goals. I would say, I absolutely hate that expression, crushing goals. We you know, we achieve our goals. We don't crush anything, right? So the road is too short to walk alone, right? So involve as many people as you can. And if it's not a lot, that's okay. If you don't want to, you know, yell from the rooftops that you want to learn how to squat, that's okay, all right? You can just tell one person, and that's completely fine. Just let them know you're making a positive change, right, for the better, and why you're making it. Again, those whys, right? The 5 whys. Figure out that 5th why, and then you share that with them. Or you don't have to. You know, if it's personal, you just want to be like, listen, I just want to get a little bit healthier. That's okay. But share your wins, right, and your misses, and that's important. Don't always, you know, if there was that moment where you were going to do a workout and you missed the workout, you were tired, right? You were exhausted. You had a long day at work. You just wanted to sit on the couch, watch Netflix, right? That's okay, right? It doesn't need to be 100% full throttle all the time, all right? And in those moments, be like, what did I learn? How can I fix this next time? Don't beat yourself up over it. Next time, don't say, oh, I have to do a longer exercise. I have to do twice as many reps. I have to absolutely murder myself because I did a bad thing yesterday. It doesn't work like that, all right? Because first of all, you're not going to like get that time back, all right? That's not how fitness works. You're probably gonna hurt yourself. You're probably gonna be unhappy. It's not a good thing to get into. And just encourage them to hold you accountable. That means say if you're someone's accountability buddy, right? And they say, hey, I'm gonna work out. If you don't hear anything from them about how their workout went, you send them a little text, be like, how'd that workout go? And sometimes that's all it takes, right? Sometimes them seeing that someone else is involved, that's enough, right? So think about getting people in your corner, all right? Social media. Just be careful with it, all right? Because the fitness industry is just inundated with all this information, usually trying to sell you something, and it can get very confusing. It can just promote these ridiculous ideals that those of us that don't have a team of personal trainers and millions of dollars and good genes, it makes it really hard for the rest of us to go and say, I want to be better. I want to be more fit. And you go on, Instagram or whatever, and you see people who, don't get me wrong, they work hard, but what we see is what they want us to see. So again, relevant and attainable, right? Stick to those goals, right? So we see what people want us to see, a curated image that's probably trying to sell something. The fitness world, more so than any other, is absolutely saturated with unrealistic standards and products that promise something that's improbable, if not downright impossible, right? So try not to compare yourself to these people. I would have clients, they come in and they go like this and they show me their phone. And I'm like, who is this? And she's like, I want to look like her. And I'm like, out, put your phone down, warm up. Because it's just not, so maybe you do want to look like someone, but you probably aren't going to, because you're going to look like a better version of you. You're not going to look like them. You're going to look like a better version of you. And that's what I want everyone to think about, is how am I going to improve me, right? I don't want to look like so-and-so on Instagram. I want to look like how the best I can look myself, right? So again, relevant and attainable. Also, pro tip, spending less time on your phone in between sets leads to faster progress. It also gets you in and out of your workout faster, which I personally appreciate. Make it your time, right? Get that focus, get yourself, clear your mind, maybe, have your music on your phone, and just don't worry about it that much. This is your time to make yourself better, all right? So just go easy on the social media. And now this one, I just want to spend a little bit of time on. This quote, push yourself because no one else will do it for you. That doesn't mean go crazy, all right? That doesn't mean, again, not like don't go full throttle 100,000% and get hurt, because that's probably what's going to happen, is that you're going to push and push and push, and you're going to push too much. And you're going to get hurt and you're going to get discouraged. And those are the two things that we see happen a lot, especially with folks that are making resolutions, that you want to make this positive change for the better. You're not really sure how to do it, and you burn yourself out really fast. So when I say push yourself, maybe that means do one more set, right? Maybe that means do one more rep. Maybe it means, read a little more about, the best way to do this exercise, or, learn something new about a mobility movement that you're curious about. The pushing does not necessarily mean with the weights, right? Just expand your mind, right? Expand your knowledge, push yourself that way. Because the fact of the matter is that, even a really good personal trainer, even a great accountability buddy, they can't, follow you around and like slap cupcakes out of your hands. They're there as a guide. That's what we do. That's ultimately, as trainers, we're there to help you and to guide you and to give you that push when you need it, but no one else is going to do the work for you. You know, you can't, you know, go into the gym with these unrealistic expectations and just expect something to happen, you know, doing the same thing over and over again. You have to change the stimulus, right? So that just means maybe instead of walking on the treadmill, we go for a little jog, right? Or we increase the, we make it more steep. The incline, I was looking for that word. We increase the incline, or maybe we say, I'm going to try the rowing machine because that's cardio, and I hate cardio, but it looks different and it looks interesting. So we'll try that out. Just, you know, do something that you wouldn't have thought you would have done yesterday. That's all the push is. So it's up to you to put the work in. You will decide if you're successful or not. It's okay if you stumble a few times, right? Just learn from your mistakes, right? That's all I ask, that we learn. This is the one that no one likes to hear about. This is where the magic happens. The nutrition is also the part that most people struggle with, myself included. So honestly, everyone, the first thing, the easiest thing you can do, and I'm sure you've heard this 1,000 times, but you have to drink more water, all right? It is the fluid of life, right? It makes all the good things happen. So you could start doing this right now. 1, right, to 1.5 ounces per pound of body weight, which can be a lot of water. I admit that's a tremendous amount of water. That for me, that would be a little over 200 ounces. That is a tremendous amount of water. So you're going to find you spend a lot of time in the bathroom, right? But you don't have to, again, don't do it all at once. You know, don't get the giant Nalgene or the hydro jug or whatever and think like, oh, I have to drink all this water, you know, or something bad's going to happen. Like if you're not drinking really any water right now, just increasing your intake to like 32 ounces a day is, you're going to, I guarantee it, that's going to be one of the best things, one of the best decisions you made in 2021. All right. Plan ahead. Meal prep, right? Very, very important. All right. Meal prep is probably, as far as nutrition goes, that's the key. That's what makes everything happen. That's what makes everything fall into place. When you plan ahead, when you plan your meals out, and I don't mean like, you know, get the 6-pack bag and all like the, you know, the scale and like the Tupperware. Just, you know, at the start of every week, figure out what you're going to eat, because people get into trouble when they run into circumstances and situations that they're not prepared for, and you end up, you know, eating an entire pizza by yourself. So if you're prepared, if you're fueling yourself properly, and that's different for everybody, and we're going to talk about that too, then you won't have those situations where you feel like you can and will eat an entire pizza. And I know, because I've done it before, and you know, I'll do it again, I promise. So the meal prep is super important. And, you know, if you can get the hang of that, you're going to find that your fitness goals and your nutrition goals, it does all the work for you. So it's super, super important. Slow down. All right, I'm guilty of this. We're all guilty of this. Life comes at you fast, but your food shouldn't. Eating fast spikes your stress hormones, right? Your cortisol, and it doesn't allow you to properly digest your food. So you're having, you know, this food that you made for your meal prep, and you're scarfing it down because you gotta, you know, it's late. You just got home from the gym. You just got home from work. You got to do this. You got to do that. The other thing. So we eat so fast. And the thing is that we haven't changed that much from our ancestors, right? From the hunters and gatherers. So when they ate, you know, it was like a big deal. They ate slowly, you know, they enjoyed their food, and it lasted a while. These days, we don't have to do that, right? I can go on Uber Eats and I can get like 4 pizzas in, I don't know, half an hour, right? It's amazing. It's absolutely ridiculous. But that doesn't mean that we have to eat all this food so fast. So just slow down, right? Just slow down. Have your food, have your eating be, again, a time for you as much as you can. Listen, I understand it's not always possible, right? It's hard. It's really tough. But do your best, right, to make those good choices, those better habits, to just take it a little easy, all right? All right, chew the food, swallow the food. Don't, you know, eat the whole piece of pizza whole, as I do sometimes. And, you know, this is one of the most important things, one of the things that a lot of us have a hard time with. Maintain a healthy relationship with eating and with your food. Don't to get on MyFitnessPal and have that be the be all end all of your nutrition. Don't let each meal get reduced to macros and calories and things of that nature, because what's going to happen is that you're going to develop a really bad relationship with your eating, and that you're going to look at meals as a chore rather than something that should be enjoyed. And that's what it is. You know, we have all this good food that's available to us, and we have reduced it to logging and tracking and calorie counting and all this nonsense. So keep a food diary, right? Here's the thing. If that works for you, if food tracking works for you, I want you to keep doing that. But if you've tried it before and it hasn't worked and it's led to worse problems, then just keep a food diary, because at least that way you'll say, listen, I had this for breakfast, I had this for lunch, and I had this for dinner. And then you can see when problems arise, you can say, well, I had that double bacon cheese because I didn't have a big enough lunch and I was starving, right? Because we didn't plan. So again, the planning, it falls into place there. Don't miss out on opportunities to enjoy these social situations where we eat. You know, that is what we do, at least before coronavirus, when we can't really hang out anymore. But, you know, we would get together and food was a big thing. So I don't want you to miss out on those opportunities and to show up with your Tupperware full of boneless, skinless chicken breast and rice and broccoli and have a bad time because you're like, oh, I got to stick to my macros. I got to stick to my plan. It's okay. I promise you it will be okay if you indulge yourself that little bit that one time. And then the next day, get back on your meal plan, right? Have your good breakfast, have your avocados, have your eggs, have whatever you're going to have. But you can't, you're trying to make your life better. And then at the same time, you're restricting yourself so much that you can't even enjoy yourself in those social situations. So I really want you guys to think about, finding that balance. This is all about balance, right? Finding that healthy balance between, what's good for me and what's good for my mental health, what's good for, spending time with my friends, with my family, and just making smart decisions around that. So ways to eat: paleo, keto, intermittent fasting, if it fits your macros, or in my case, if it fits your mouth, IFIFYM. There is not a single diet that will work for everyone. All right. It's just not like that. Now, I am not a registered dietitian. I cannot really give you guys nutritional advice or diets, but I can tell you that you will have to make your own decisions on what's going to work best for you. Some, and I hate to use the word diet, I just like to use the word eating. Some ways of eating are extremely restrictive, and people like that. That works for people, right? Keto, for example, very, very tough, very restrictive, but some people it works. You have to stay on it a long, long, long time, right, to see the results. So that's when it gets hard. Paleo, maybe a little bit easier, maybe needs a little bit more guidance as far as, what can I eat? What can I eat? What is a nut anyway? I don't even know. And then there's intermittent fasting. So that's another thing. But if you don't do these things right, if you don't arm yourself with knowledge and just jump in onto the first, article you see online, that article wasn't written for you. That article was written for whatever publication is trying to, spread this information for. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just so people know what they're getting themselves into. But, if you know someone that tried one of these diets, one of these ways of eating, and it worked for them, use that person as a resource, use that person as an ally, all right? And ask them, what did you do? What worked? What didn't? Because that's a real bona fide human that that you hopefully trust, that, went on that journey. And then you have a little bit more information, so you're better equipped, right? Do your homework. The internet is full of resources, but make sure someone isn't trying to sell you something, because that's mostly what is out there, unfortunately. If someone eats well, ask them what works and what doesn't. And hopefully, you can be accountability buddies. You can help yourselves out with your eating. But I just want you guys to understand that there is no magic diet out there which is going to make you skinny, all right? Everyone's different. I'm different. You're different. We're all different. We're all put together differently. We all move differently. We all, utilize our fuel differently. So it's going to take a little bit of work to figure out what works and what doesn't. And, you know, once you figure it out, you're going to be much better off. 42% of adults in America were considered obese between 2017 and 2018. Now, it's more, all right? It's more now. It has not gone down. It will probably never go down, unfortunately. But I want you to think about this number, all right? This is regular obese, okay? Severely obese is another thing. I didn't put that statistic in there. But I just want you guys to understand that, you know, nutrition is a huge deal, all right? And you cannot outwork, right? You cannot sweat out or rep out a bad diet, okay? It's just not going to happen. Our bodies are built a certain way, and you have to take care of yourself, because this is the only one that you get, you know, regrettably. Maybe someday we'll get another one, but right now, this is the only one, and you have to take care of it, and you have to, you know, use your good sense and make these good changes so that we don't end up contributing to this number, all right? Because it's an epidemic, right? And you know, so many different problems arise from being overweight and obesity. And the healthier we are and the more proactive we are, this number, you know, for ourselves, we can make it smaller. So 42%, I just want you all to think about that. Movement, which is probably what a lot of us came to this thinking we were going to do, but here we are at the very end. I want you to think about a quote from Coach John Wolfe. He's a great guy. Move well and move often, all right? He's not saying throw a ton of weight around. He's not saying you need to pick up a barbell right now and start repping out, you know, bench press or whatever you're going to do. Just movement, all right? Moving well, moving often. Compound movements, right? That squat, our whole body. My hands are going to squat now, right? We're going up and down. A lot of muscle groups are moving, all right? This is what we want to focus on, the compound movements. Full body, multiple muscle exercises. So that's your squat, right? Your hip hinge pattern, which is your deadlift, all right? Which we're going to talk about a little more momentarily. Right? Those are the big ones. That's the most bang for your buck, all right? And then we have a saying, cardio is cardio, all right? No one that I know loves cardio, all right? Because, you know, sometimes it's very unpleasant. You're out of breath and you're sweating a lot, but you know, unless your goal, right, unless your SMART goal that we talked about is some cardio goal, just do enough that it you know, balances out with whatever else you're doing, either in the gym or at home with your fitness, right? You know, that could be going for a walk, right? You could be moving around 3 to 4 days a week, and the other days go for a walk, you know, get out, enjoy the fresh air, or go for a little jog, or, you know, hop on the rowing machine for 5 to 10 minutes. But it has to complement whatever else you're doing. You can't just lift weights. You can't just do body weight. You know, you have to move a little bit more. And I want us all to commit to doing a little bit more cardio, right? As uncomfortable, as unpleasant as it is, I understand, but you know, it's all about finding that balance, all right? The quality of your movement is incredibly important, all right? If you come up to me and you say, hey, I can deadlift 500 pounds. And I'm like, all right, let's see it. And I see your back coming up. You look like a cat, you know, on Halloween. I'm going to say, well, that's great, but you're going to get hurt is what's going to happen. So before you start adding weight, really perfect those body weight movements, all right? Those simple movements, get those down really pat, and then start worrying about adding weights. And weight training is one of the best things that we can do for ourselves, right? Ultimately, that's where we want to go. It doesn't have to be a lot of weight. It doesn't have to be a barbell with Ray Williams squatting 966 pounds. That's not the area that we're in, right? I'm talking about, you know, lightweight, working up to when maybe someday it'll be a lot of weight. But for right now, just worry about the quality of your movement. Are you moving safely? Are you moving efficiently? Are you, Is everything moving as it should? That's something really important to think about. And then consistency, because ultimately, and this is true about nutrition also, is that you're going to get the most success when you're consistent with whatever program you decide you're going to do. And that just means, you know, for example, if you're going to work out 3 days, work out those 3 days consistently. All right. You know, don't like kind of like switch it up and like do one thing differently and then another thing differently. Because if you're doing all different kinds of things, you're not going to work on, again, those compound movements that we talked about. You're going to be training all these different parts of your body, and your body's going to be like, what are you doing to me? Like, make up your mind, you know? So the best program is the one you're going to stick with. It's the one that you enjoy doing, right? So, and that's where the consistency comes in. Because if you're not consistent, that's how you see that progress. That's when it doesn't happen as well or as much, right? So again, here, this is something I hear a lot. I heard deadlifting is bad for your back, and it is. It can be if you do it improperly. Just about anything can, all right? Like, you know, a deadlift, it sounds scary. You're like, I don't want to lift anything that's dead, let alone myself. So it's one of the best things you can do about your back, or for your back, as long as you're being smart about it. And I want you guys to think about these 5 things here. Mobility, mobilization, right? Your body works better when it's warm. It's called a warm-up for a reason, oddly enough. Being mobile protects you from injuries and allows you to execute movements with better efficiency. Another good quote, the best ability is availability. Availability, I'm thinking about that accountability again. So just, you know, make sure that you're warmed up, you're ready to work out. That's when people get hurt, when they just jump into something cold. So it can be 5 minutes, right? It can be your cardio, whatever you do before you work out, but just make sure you have that mobility in there, right? That mobility, that flexibility, that stuff is really important. Proper fueling, right? I had a young lady that I trained, and she would come in to train sometimes, and I'd say, what'd you have for lunch today? And she said, oh, I had a carrot. And that was her lunch, right? She had a carrot. I'm like, what the? So a carrot, it's not, you don't want to have that before you work out. Maybe if you had like the entire bag of carrots and then something with protein in it, that would be okay. But you have to be sensible about what you're putting into your body when you're going to be working out, especially when you're starting out and you go from little to no physical activity to really amping it up. You know, you're going to feel, your body's going to be like, I need more. But if we're not fueling ourselves properly, again, you can't outwork a poor diet, right? You can't outwork poor eating. So make sure that you're putting good things into your body before and after you work out. You want to have a little bit more carbs before, right? And you want to have a little bit more protein after, so we can rebuild those muscles that we just broke down doing our workout. Have a plan, right? Don't, you know, be sitting there and be like, oh, I guess it's time to work out, and just like pull something out of thin air. All right. Have something written down, or put it on your phone, right? Or find a workout online that again, relevant and attainable, matches up with your goals, right? Don't just find something that you're like, well, this guy looks really good doing those push-ups, and I want to look like that, so I'm going to do this workout. If it has no place in whatever program you're doing, then don't do it. Do something else. So don't Hail Mary your workout. Don't just show up and be like, you know, and expect something to stick, right? You have to have a plan. Write it down. Find one from a reputable source online, right? Use your brain when it comes to load selection. Now, if you're doing body weight, that's fantastic, right? Because our only load is our body. And for some folks, for some of us, that's going to be enough for a while. For some of us, that could be enough for however long we want to be involved in fitness, right? Just, you know, moving our body, perfecting those movements. But eventually we may want to start picking up weights. Don't, you know, see that 50-pound kettlebell over there and say, well, I'm going to squat that because I feel really strong. Because what's going to happen is that you're going to get hurt. You're going to get discouraged. And then we fall into this whole trap again. So if something is too hard or too easy, you can make adjustments. You can make those adjustments on the fly during your workout. There's no like rule that says, oh, well, I already started my workout, so I have to keep going at this intensity, or, you know, the workout would be invalid. I do it all the time. All right. I do it all the time. If something gets too hard, I drop the weight. If I'm on that like 3rd out of 4 sets and I'm like, you know, this is kind of easy, I'll increase my weight. You are the, you know, you're the only one that knows what your body is telling you, right? Even the greatest trainer in the world is not going to be able to, you know, like look at you and be like, oh, this is how much weight you should use. They're going to watch how you move. They're going to build up a little bit of a history with, you know, how much weight you can use, and that's what they're going to use. And you can do that yourself, right? Start small, increase, decrease, increase, just make those adjustments, right? Most exercises you can scale very easily, all right? Again, quality over quantity, all right? If you want to go to the gym and start moving a ton of weight around, you can't just walk in and start doing that, right? You can't just decide one day, get out of bed, say, I'm going to do 50 squats right now, because by that probably 15th one, your form is going to fall apart. So I'd rather see someone do less of something really well than a lot of something poorly. Because not only are you're training your body to move in an inefficient manner, but you're going to get hurt. You know, that's the fact of the matter. And so many people get hurt when they're starting out because of that's it. You know, they get hurt and then it's over. And then we fall back into the cycle of, well, it didn't work, so I don't even want to do it anymore. All right. If huge weight is your goal, it's important to safely move the weight. It won't matter if you pulled 405 pounds off the floor in your deadlift if you can't move for a week afterwards. All right. It's not worth it. Believe me. All right. Figure out what makes you move. All right. What's the best, the most interesting modality for you, right? It might be CrossFit. It might be yoga. It might be Pilates. It might be plyometrics. There's so many different ways we can move and we can grow. And I just want you guys to, you know, try something you haven't tried before. All right. Look it up, learn about it, and just try it out. And I've had so many people, you know, for example, someone said to me, you know, we finished the workout and I said, you just did CrossFit. And she goes, I never thought I'd hear myself say I do CrossFit. And yet here we are. And it's not like, it's not this crazy thing like the CrossFit games. It's a modality, right? It's constantly varied fitness. And all you have to do is, you know, put the pieces into place. And then that's how it works, right? It's not this crazy, insane thing that is so out of reach that, you know, we're just, oh, I can't do CrossFit. It's just like, just the sound of it, CrossFit, right? Someone said to me after she had a barbell, right? That big weight that we saw Ray Williams with earlier. She said, this is really empowering. You know, I feel strong. And I was like, hell yeah. Like, it absolutely. Like, I want everyone to feel strong. I want everyone to feel like they can move a lot of weight around and they can move really well. That's, you know, again, that's why we do this. That's because taking you from I can't do that to saying this feels really good and I feel really strong and powerful. I love that. And then, you know, of course, most of all, I didn't think I could do that. People say that to me all the time. They're like, I didn't think I could do that. And you'll surprise yourself by what you can do, because all you have to do is, again, make that little push forward and try something that's out of your comfort zone. Try something you haven't tried before. And it could be just because, you know, you were like, well, I can't do that. Did you try? And if you tried, you know, go back, think about what went wrong and just try it again and try it until something sticks. And you'll be able to figure out what works and what doesn't. Because again, it's consistency. Whatever modality you go with, it's the one that you're going to stick to that's going to work for you. The best program is the one you're going to stick with. CrossFit, weightlifting, plyometrics, yoga. Maybe you take a little bit out of each of those, right? And you mix and match and you take what works and what doesn't, and you just figure out some like crazy hybrid modality phase program thing, and you love it and it gets you moving. That's what I want you to keep doing. And I don't care if anyone tells you, well, you know, it doesn't, you know, so-and-so on Instagram says that doesn't work. I don't care, all right? Because it works for you. And in this moment, that's all we're worried about, right? We're worried about you making a change for the better. So just figure out what's going to work for you, right? So before we move on to the questions, I just want to reiterate some things. Yes, there are some things that we consider impossible. Changing your life is not one of those things, and as difficult as it seems now, that's all it is. It's just difficult. It's not impossible. There aren't a lot of things worth doing that are easy. It doesn't have to be harder than it needs to be. So what did we learn? Set goals. Involve your friends and family. Don't quit. Figure out your 5 whys. Find out what makes you tick. Look inward. Don't quit. Think about your relationship with social media. Push yourself just a little harder than you did yesterday. Don't quit. Change the way you think about food and the way you eat. Drink more water, eat the green stuff, even though it's gross, and don't quit. Move well, move often. Work on your form, do your compound exercises, discover a modality that fires you up, and don't quit. I cannot emphasize that enough. Do not quit. As hard as it gets, as much as you think you're going backwards, it is a good life if you don't weaken, right? And there it is, right there. Don't weaken. Guys, thank you so much. I hope we all learned something. We will take any questions that you have now.
Thank you, Jake. I feel like you need to be a life coach.
Oh boy, I don't know about that. Maybe.
Does anyone have any questions? Don't all speak at once. And you also have the ability to raise your hand, and then I can allow you to speak if you prefer to do that. So you've got options.
Any literally
question. What was it? Plyometrics? Was that something at the end?
Plyometrics. Yeah.
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah. So that's
I obviously can't say it either.
Yeah. So that's when we're jumping around a lot.
Okay, I've seen video.
I tend to not like to leave the ground when I work out, so it's not something I do as much. But you can certainly incorporate that into any other workout program, right? Just any kind of jumping, because if your joints can handle it, it's very good for you. Burn a lot of calories. You get stronger that way. She's back.
We have another question. She's lying down. It says, during the pandemic, how can you learn weightlifting? What is your advice?
Right. So honestly, YouTube is tremendous. Yes, like jumping jacks, plyometrics, absolutely. Weightlifting during the pandemic. So YouTube is a tremendous resource. You can also check out, so now when I say YouTube, there's a lot of information, a ton of information out there, right? And again, it's probably going to be someone trying to sell you something, but you'll, and I've been really surprised at how much information is out there that it is free, no strings attached, right? So, if there's a particular exercise, like I encourage a lot of people, look into how to squat, like look into a bodyweight squat. Livestrong, livestrong.com, highly recommended. They have a lot of great stuff on their website, and it's all pretty neutral, right? It's not like, well, some people are like, well, if you're not squatting with a barbell on your back, with the weight up here, like we saw Ray Williams with, it's not a squat. A squat is a squat, right? If you get up from a chair, if you get up from your bed and go up and down, that's a squat, right? That's all you have to do when you're starting out. So, YouTube, Onnit, ONNIT, they have a lot of great resources there for body weight and for kettlebells, which kettlebells are my thing. A lot of different modalities there. Even CrossFit has a lot of great resources available, because at the core of it, it's gymnastics and weightlifting and a bunch of other stuff. But it's very, at the core of it, it's those simple compound movements. I see we have a lot of questions coming in. I'm going to let you have those.
Okay, let's see here. So Joanne wants to know, without a barbell, can you use hand weights for squats? And then she also wants to know more about kettlebells.
Yeah, heck yeah. Yeah, so we call it a goblet squat. I don't have any dumbbells here, but so imagine I'm holding the dumbbell this way, right? So the head, the weight of the dumbbell is here, and the handle is here, and then I'll do my squat, right? I'll go up and down. Whoa, kettlebell delivery. Here's a kettlebell. It's really cool. So pretend this is a free weight, right? A dumbbell. So I'm gonna hold it like this, right? And we're gonna squat, right? Like that. I'm gonna put this down for a second. This is a kettlebell. Also, you can hold them up here, right? We call that a front rack with your dumbbells, right? Or you can go overhead, right? but don't just leave them at your side and squat, right? We're trying not to do that. We want to have the weight up a little bit higher, all right? And then, so yeah, someone asked about kettlebells. It's a cannonball with a handle on it. They, in Russia, a long time ago, they used them to counterweight scales so they could figure out how heavy goods were. And then, because it's Russia, some people were like, let's just start throwing these around. So Russia actually has some really awesome kettlebell training that like goes way back. This is your home gym, all right? This is a 10 kilogram. It's about 22 pounds. You know, try to find, you know, a couple lighter ones that you can, you know, go overhead with, right? That's good. And then we can still do our squats, right? Like that. And then I'll go into some other things that some other kinds of weights you can use that aren't, you know, strictly weights in a second. But you know, there's so many ways you can use this, right? And you can utilize. That's our cat, Luna, that you just heard. She's gone now though. So you know, this is a awesome tool. All right, I highly recommend that everyone pick up some kettlebells, because this is all you need, right? There's so many different ways you can use it. So you know, maybe 2 lighter ones, a heavier one for your deadlift, and maybe like a medium weight one for your squat. And then soon you're going to be like, I want, like, your house is going to be full of kettlebells, and I have no place to put these. But you do not need a barbell to get strong, all right? You need, you know, here's a bottle of wine, right? Right, here we go. There's your squat, all right? Or your overhead press, all right? Honestly, literally anything you can pick up. You can put a backpack on, right, and do your squats that way. You can put a backpack on and do your good mornings, right, for your hip hinge pattern. There's so many ways, and you can find all that information. You can find that on YouTube. People got really creative, like with the soup cans. That was a really popular thing early on. Last March, we saw a lot of soup cans in the world. But yeah, so I highly recommend that we look into kettlebells. I think they're great. I love them. Would recommend.
Does anyone else have any questions? And I didn't know that about the kettlebells, how they originated. That's
I didn't know that for a long time, and then I did a little workshop at the Edge, and I figured I should know where they came from.
Yeah, that's smart. Do you have any good advice to leave us with? Obviously, this whole presentation was great advice.
Yeah, like you know, I struggle with my fitness. I'll be honest with you guys. I struggle with it a lot, and I got pretty hurt in May. I really hurt my back, and I couldn't move. My mom had to drive me to the chiropractor, and they, you know, it was a long process, and we're still kind of there. And it's extremely discouraging to think about, you know, where you were and where you are. But what I can tell you is that, again, like the process, it doesn't get any easier if you slow it down, right? You have to stay on track. You have to come up with your plan and execute your plan. And again, the only person that's going to be able to do that is you. Getting a trainer is certainly, for some people, it's really helpful. For other people, some people just want someone to talk to at the gym. They just want someone to yell at them for 30 minutes while they sweat. You know, I could tell you to run up and down the stairs for 10 minutes, and that would make you pretty tired. Would it be a good workout? Absolutely not. But that, you know, that's what some people need. And we had folks that would come in once a week, 4 times a month, right? And they thought someone was going to change, and it doesn't. And it's really it's hard as someone that wants to just like pour that out. It's hard to see people encounter that, because it's not fair to them for them to have to deal with that you know, they want to change and they just have no idea how to. So just know that you can and that you will, but you have to make a plan. You have to believe in yourself, honestly. That's because at the end of the day, like, you know, nobody else will. So if there's one person that you believe in, believe in yourself and don't weaken.
Thank you so much, Jake. I
You are
really
so welcome.
appreciate how you took a holistic approach to getting fit. And I think
It's,
all our
you know,
participants can agree with that.
I hope so. It's, you know, it's important. It's not just about moving weights around. It's not just about eating. It's about your whole mindset. And if you're not there, if you're not with the mindset, then it's tough, if not impossible. So work on here, and then, you know, then work on the rest of it. But just get your brain right. And listen, it's tough, but you'll get there.
Someone wanted to know if you would be willing to share your presentation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So if you email that to me, then I will email the group.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Wonderful. Some thanks coming in. Thank you. I hope everyone has a great evening. And everyone's going to start using the word accountability.
Buddy. It's a
Thank
good
you
one.
so
Yeah,
much.
it's funny, but it's like you're like, okay, yeah,
It makes sense.
Yeah, a buddy that's accountable. I love it.
Thank you again.
Of
We'll
course.
definitely, hopefully, we'll see you soon if you
Yeah,
want to come
yeah.
back.
We'll see. We'll see.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for
Bye.
coming, everybody.